Welcome back, everyone. So let's continue with another example. In some cases, an MNC may offset a forward contract that has been made. Okay, so let's discuss another scenario. Of course, it's going to be similar, but the goal is to offset a forward contract. So let's go quickly through this case. On March 10, Green Bay, a company, hired a Canadian construction company to expand its office. Okay, so an MNC hired someone from Canada to do some construction business and agreed to pay 200,000 Canadian dollars. So we know the amount we need. That all of this happened in March. Okay, now in September, after 6 months, the work will take place. Okay, so it negotiated a 6 months forward contract. So now we know that we need 200,000 Canadian dollars in a specified date. Okay, what's the date? The date is 10th September. After 6 months. So right now we need to make sure that we know how many units we need to pay these construction company. However, you might say that you already know, but I know it in foreign terms. I don't care about foreign currency terms. I need to know how much of my local currency units is needed to pay. Okay, so on April 10, after 1 month, the construction company informed Green Bay that it would not be able to perform the work as promised. 1 month after, we receive a call from Canada. They're saying they cannot do the work anymore, unfortunately, due to many reasons. Therefore, Green Bay offset its existing contract by negotiating a forward contract to sell the 200. However, what's the problem for me? I already negotiated a deal. I already have a contract to buy 200,000 Canadian dollars, and this is compulsory. It's not optional. As you may know, forward contracts are compulsory. It's a contract you must honor. You cannot go to the bank and tell the bank, sorry, my Canadian partner or construction company rejected to do the job for some reason. So this is not acceptable at all. So the best way to do it is, let's enter into the opposite contract to sell 200 Canadian thousand at the same day. So we get the money, we sell it immediately. So exercise date would be exactly the same. So now let's get into the details a little bit. So what about my first contract? The contract I originally purchased to buy the supplies. The first contract, we must fix the rate, right? The rate is 70 cents. 1 Canadian dollar, you need 70 cents USD. Okay? However, the spot rate of the Canadian dollar has decreased over the last month. So the rate after 1 month, of course, is not the same. It decreased. And the prevailing forward contract price for September is 66 cents. It's not 70 cents. So let's try to stop here and try to understand simply what happened. So I made a deal with a bank to purchase 200,000 units of some currency at a specified date. A specified date and rate. The rate is 70 cents. Date is not a problem. We discussed it. Now, something happened. I want to offset this. I want to buy the opposite contract to cancel my contract. So I need a contract to sell 200,000 foreign units. Okay. Now, what's the rate? 66 cents. So when I purchased, it was higher than what is right now in the market. Okay, so I'm going to lose some money, which is the difference in price. So Green Bay now has a forward contract to sell 200,000 on September, which offsets the other contract. So now I'm not gonna have any single Canadian dollar because I don't need it. I purchased it because I needed to pay the constructor. Now I don't need it anymore. However, the purchase price was different from the sale price. So it has to buy 200, of course. The forward rate was, what's the difference? 70 minus 66 cents, 4 cents difference. So 4 per unit less on its forward sale than on its forward purchase, resulting in a cost loss of 8,000. How do I know 8,000? Simply, I multiplied the number of units, 200,000, multiplied by the loss, the difference in price, 70 minus basically 66. So if Green Bay in the preceding example negotiates the forward contract with the same bank where it negotiated the forward contract, so again we went to the bank to purchase. Now after what happened, I assume you go back to the same bank and tell them the story. They will offer you some solution. We discussed a solution just now. So here the bank will charge a fee for the service, which will reflect the difference between the forward rate and the time of the forward purchase and the forward rate at the time of the offset. Thus, the MNC cannot just ignore the obligation. Again, now we understand forward contract is an obligation. It's mandatory. It's not optional to practice, but must pay a fee to offset. So if you want to cancel, of course you can, and you have this option. We know MNCs face these kind of changes in decisions due to many reasons. So we already prepared something for you. However, it's not going to be free of charge. There's going to be a cost. What's the cost? The difference in the price. So what happened with you 1 month ago is very different right now. Why? Because of the whole economic situation between these two countries. One currency depreciated, other appreciated due to, as we discussed in previous classes, many factors. Now, one more important point is that sometimes you need a specified currency which is not easy to buy and sell and find, right? So let's say you want to import from some African country which is not very rich. However, when it comes to this raw material, they are very popular. Okay, it's very famous. So you need to have their currency, which is not easy to be found or with any bank. So let's discuss in this regard non-deliverable forward contracts, NDF. It can be used for emerging market currencies where no currency delivery takes place at settlement. Okay, so there will be no currency delivery here. Instead, one party makes a payment to the other party. To make it clear, let's immediately go through the example. Jackson, MNC, based in US, determines as of April 1st that it will need 100 million Chilean pesos. So we want to import something from Chile. Chile currency is called peso, Chilean peso, right? There is Mexican peso, not be confused. So Chilean pesos to buy supplies. How many? 100 million Chilean pesos. Why? Because when you pay an exporter, you pay them in their currency. So it can negotiate an NDF with a local bank as follows. Let's read the following requirements. The NDF will be specify the currency. What's the currency? Chilean peso. The settlement date after 3 months from now. So April, May, June, July. Okay, and so-called reference rate, forward rate, you need to fix it, which identifies the type of exchange rate that will be marked to market at the settlement. Specifically, the NDF will contain the following information. Let's read carefully. Number 1, Assume the Chilean peso, which is the reference index here, is currently valued at 0.0020 USD. Okay? So 1 peso equals 0.002. Okay? So the dollar amount of the pesos, so how many pesos you need to buy 100 million, you multiply, you need 200,000 USD at the time of the agreement, right now, April 1st. At the time of the settlement date, 3 months from now, July 1st, the value of the reference index is determined and a payment is made between the two parties to settle the NDF. For example, if the peso value increases to 0.023 by July 1st, the value of the position specified in the NDF will be 230. How do I know? I multiplied again. 100 million I need pesos multiplied by the rate. The rate now 0.0023 increased. You basically need more USD now to buy 1 unit of peso. So since the value of Jackson's NDF position is 30,000 higher than what the agreement was created, remember when the agreement was created only needed 200k, now you need 230k. Jackson will receive a payment of 30,000. The increase will receive the payment from the bank. Remember, the bank shall take care of any increase. However, if the Chilean peso now, what could also happen? The opposite scenario. Peso depreciates against USD. So instead of 0.020, now it's 0.018, not 0.023, it's lower. So now you need less USD to buy peso instead of rising. Jackson's position in its NDF would have been valued at 180k instead of 200 originally and 230 in the first case. So again, how do you get the total number? Very simple, multiply at the settlement date, which is 20,000 less than the value when the agreement was created. So here what's gonna happen? The opposite of case 1. Jackson would have owed the bank 20k at that time. So if that happened, of course, you just take a look at the rate, the agreed first rate, then you see what's the rate in the market, and based on that, someone owes the other, must settle the difference. Okay, so let's continue with swaps. Now, another idea, a great idea actually, is that I need pesos, maybe you also need USD. So let's say you're a Chilean company, you are in the opposite scenario. You need the opposite of what I need. So why don't you pay what I have to pay and I will settle your payment in USD? Okay, so another Chilean company is importing from US, paying in USD, also amount equal to 200, let's assume. So 200k of USD are needed by someone in Chile. So why do I need the bank in the first place? Why don't I simply transact with this company to exchange obligation? I will settle your payment in US, you settle my payment in Chile. Let's go with the example. So first, let's read together. Involves a spot transaction along with a corresponding forward rate contract that will ultimately reverse the spot transaction. Sorry. Okay, let's go with the example, the best way. Soho company needs to invest 1 million Chilean pesos in Chilean subsidiary. So Soho, a company, MNC, has a subsidiary in Chile. They want to invest 1 million peso over there for the production of some additional products, new product. It wants the subsidiary to repay the pesos in 1 year. So I want my subsidiary to repay the money in 1 year. Soho wants to lock in the rate at which the pesos can be converted back into dollars. So I'm gonna invest 1 million with you. I want you to pay me the 1 million. I don't need it after 1 year. So you already want to fix the price for the 1 million you're gonna pay me back. And it uses a 1-year forward contract for this purpose. Soho contracts its bank and requests the following swap transaction. Today, the bank should withdraw dollars from Soho's US account, convert the dollars to pesos in the spot market, and transmit the pesos to our subsidiary account in Chile. Okay, number one, today transfer 1 million to Chilean subsidiary. In 1 year, the bank should withdraw 1 million peso from subsidiary account, converted back to dollars based on the today's forward rate, and transmitted them to Soho's US account. So Soho Incorporation is not exposed to exchange rate movements here due to the transaction, because it has locked in the rate at which the pesos will be converted back. So now I don't care about changes in the rate anymore. Why? Of course, because I fixed my rate. So I have two transactions. One would cancel the other, basically. So why don't I simply just transact with the bank, tell the bank at the beginning, do this, after 1 year, specified date, convert it back, and do the opposite. So I don't need to worry about the change of rate in the spot market. Now, with this, we have managed to discuss forward contracts. So now we will move to something similar. It's going to be also derivatives, but we will try to see how different it is from forward, which is futures. So let's move to futures and discuss futures. It's very similar to forward contract. Actually, even the name indicates to me the same thing. Future contract, forward contract. It's almost the same. However, it's not. In terms of obligation to purchase or sell currency on a specified settlement date in the future. So what's the differences? Differ from forward contracts because futures have standard contract specifications. There are standard specifications. Number one, standardized number of units per contract. You cannot tailor the contract based on how many units you need. Well, he needs 550,000 Canadian dollars. You may not find this exact number on the future market. You must buy a standardized amount. So maybe in the market they only sell 100,000. So you need to buy 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, and you need an extra 100 basically. However, I only need 550. In futures, this cannot happen. You either buy 500 and do something, or buy 600 and convert the rest. So it offers greater liquidity than forward contracts. Why? Of course, because it's standardized, and you will see how it's easily to buy and sell through the platform. You don't need to go to the bank, negotiate, go into many negotiations. You simply look at a platform, you see the price at specified date, you pay online maybe, and that's it. So greater liquidity, we already understand. Once I say liquidity, the volume of transaction must be there. So when I said USD is liquid, why did I say it in the first place? Because everyone would accept, some transaction related to USD. However, when we discuss a contract, of course, if more people use this contract, I'm gonna say it's more liquid. So volume of exchange matters the most when it goes to liquidity. Typically based on USD. So it can't be between Malaysian ringgit and pesos directly. Usually it's based on USD. So the denominating currency is usually USD, but may be offered on cross rates. You can also already now you understand the cross rate, so it can also be offered on a cross rate. Commonly traded on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So it's on a platform in Chicago called CME. Basically, it's easy to be bought and sold, as we will see in the next slide. So let's take a look at this table. You can see we have many currencies and we have a units per contract. So you want one contract of Australian dollar, you must purchase 100,000. If you need 110, I don't know how to serve you. I'll sell you 100, maybe you go to the spot market and get the extra you need. And vice versa. If you need 90, again, I cannot help. I will sell you the 100, you'll find a way to sell the extra you have. Okay, so you can see how it's different based on the currency. Since British pound is usually high in value, you notice you can buy 62,000 only, and so on and so forth for other currencies. Let's continue. So how firms use currency futures? Now you understand, I think, after we discussed basically forward, why do we need it, mitigation, speculations, etc. So number one, purchasing futures to hedge payables. Already discussed forward contract, it's the same thing. The purchase of futures contracts locks in the price at which a firm can purchase a currency. So again, this contract is mandatory. You cannot say, oh, I don't like the price, after 3 months you decide to cancel. Cannot do that. So same with forward contract. You already now purchased some raw material and you fix the price. You know how much you're gonna pay. Selling futures to hedge receivables. We also discussed that some companies, they operate in many countries. They have revenue in different currencies, but they want to convert it to one currency, which is the mother company currency. So again, you need the same thing. Closing out a future position. We also discussed that sellers, buyers of a currency futures can close out their position by buying identical future contracts prior to settlement. So most currency future contracts are closed out before the settlement date. Okay, so for example, you can see here January 10 contract to buy. Okay, so we bought 100,000, one contract of Australian dollar. How much is the price? 1 Australian dollar equal 53 American cents. So the total amount is 100,000 Australian dollar equal 53k of USD. Now, February 15, after about a month, you have a contract to sell now. Not to buy, to sell. To sell how much? Again, to sell 100,000 Australian dollar. What's the price? Not the same. Nowadays, at this date, it's 50 cents. 1 USD equal 2 Australian dollars. So sometimes I try to say it in cents, sometimes I say, so again, I try to refresh your mind about the perspective. Are you talking in Australian terms or are you talking in American terms, right? If you're talking from Australian terms, you say when Australian dollar equal 50 cents of USD. If you're American, maybe it's easier for you to say 1 American dollar equal to Australian dollar. Same thing, how you see it. Settle contracts. So March 19, you want to settle. What's the difference between these contracts? 53,000 first price, second one 50,000. So the loss basically is 3,000. We bought it higher, now it depreciated, we lost some money. So currency options. Now finally we will discuss options. So far we discussed forward contracts, we discussed futures. There are few differences between the two. We discussed that. Finally, something is different here. We're gonna discuss options. As the name indicates, an option gives you the option to buy and sell. So it's great. Why would I make it compulsory? So remember the case when we discussed the Canadian company, construction company. If it was an option, you say, here, who cares? Why do I need to buy again and give it and exchange? It's easier for me. So this, however, doesn't really make sense. If I give you the option to buy and sell, of course you're not stupid. You will look at the price at the spot rate. If it's better, you will ignore me. If it's not better, you will come back to me, basically, correct or not? So here in this example, I'm gonna give you the option to practice buy or sell. So you can compare with my price after 3 months or 6 months it was in the Canadian scenario, and then you decide you want to buy from me, exercise the contract, or ignore me and go to the spot market if the spot rate is better for you. However, I'm not giving you this right for free, of course. So in exchange for giving you this option, you must pay me some money. We're gonna call it a premium. So currency options provide the right. It's not an obligation. It's not mandatory here. It's optional to purchase or sell based on the contract currencies at specified prices, but not the obligation. Okay, so it's not the obligation. We have over-the-counter market, where currency options are offered by commercial banks and brokerage firms. Unlike the currency options traded on an exchange, the over-the-counter market offers currency options that are tailored to the specific needs of the firm. So again, similar to the differences between forward and future contracts. So it can be tailored to you if you go over the counter. Of course, it's gonna take longer, negotiations, appointments with the bank, etc. So let's discuss call and put options. So as we discussed, what's the option you want to buy from me? The option to buy a specified amount of dollars, or the options to sell a specified amount of dollars? It's different. So first case, we're gonna call it call option, the right to buy from me, and put, the right to sell me actually. So put option, I have the right to sell you. If I want to sell you, you buy from me. If I don't want to sell you, I'm not gonna sell you. It's up to me. Why I'm the one to decide? Of course, now we understand logically, because I paid you a premium. It's not gonna be for free. I'm not giving you an option to do that out of love. I'm giving you this option because I'm trying also to make some money from the premiums collected. So I'm doing this with you and many others, and I'm getting premium from each one, and this premium hopefully will be my profit. So currency call option grants the right to buy a specified currency at a designated strike price. We're gonna call it strike price, the price at the future, or exercise price, up to you, within a specified period of time. Now the strike price is defined as the price at which the holder of an option can buy, in the case of call option, or sell in the case of put option. Of course, we discussed that. The underlying security when the option is exercised. If the spot rate rises above the strike price, the owner of a call can exercise the right. So if the market price is very high suddenly, of course I'm not gonna buy from the market. I already have the right to buy from you because I paid you a premium to buy from you if I wanted to. Okay, so when would I exercise? When the spot rate is too high. Why would I buy from spot market? I'll buy from you because you gave me the option to buy from you. Okay. So the owner of a call can exercise the right to buy currency at the strike price, which will be cheaper, of course, than the prevailing spot rate. This strategy is somewhat similar to that used by purchasers of future contracts. But the future contracts require an obligation, while the currency option does not. So again, this is better for me. I know I sacrificed a premium, but no need, to offset and do many other things in case something happened. I can simply sacrifice my premium. Let's say I already treated that premium as a cost from my perspective, so I don't really care anymore. I just don't want to do the extra work. So in that scenario, considering my case right now, it's better for me to do the option. However, the cost is about the same. So the buyer of the option pays a premium. What about put options? We also discussed it. Let's go quickly through it. A put option is an option contract giving the owner the right, but not the obligation, to sell a specified amount of underlying security at specified price within a specified time. Same things, however, here I have the right to sell you, not to buy from you, to sell you. So I paid you some premium. Why? Because now I have the right at specified date in the future to sell you the currency I have at a specified rate. So here you must, from your perspective, you must accept to buy from me. It's not optional for you. It's only, don't get confused here. It's only optional for me to sell you. However, you have no option. Either I come and sell you or don't. Okay, in both scenarios, you have no option. Why? Again, because you received a premium payment in exchange for this service provided. If the spot rate, now what's the scenario here? If spot rate falls below the strike price, so spot rate in the market is below my strike price, so the owner of a put can exercise the right to sell currency at strike price. Why would I sell my money in the spot market? I will sell it to you for a better price. The exercise price, your price is better than the market. So why would I already sacrificed premium, right? I paid you premium, and now I will lose also money in the spot rate, whereby I paid you the premium to exercise the price. So your price is better for me, so I'm gonna exercise it. However, if the spot rate market is higher, I'm gonna ignore you and sacrifice my premium to you and sell in the market. So let's end with this case. Jim is a speculator. He does that for just to play. He doesn't need the money. Who buys a British pound call option? So I have British pound call option. The right to buy British pound. At what rate? 1.40 USD. When? December settlement date. Okay. So I bought the right to buy a British pound for USD for a price specified at 1.40. 1 British pound equal 1.40 USD. Let's continue. Current spot rate. I always discuss the current spot rate because we need to know, as you know, like as at the back of our head, we need to know what's the price right now. We need that, even though it's, you might say, it's not the future rate, it's today, but I need to know it to compare. So the current spot rate is 139, so lower. So now you need lower USD to buy British pound. However, the strike price in the future will be higher. So I need 1.40 to buy 1 British pound. However, on top of that, don't forget the premium, guys. Jim pays a premium of 12 cents per unit for the call option. Assume there are no brokerage fees, only premium. So just before the expiration date, the spot rate of the British pound reaches 1.41. So we waited until the maturity date, and now the price is 1.41, higher than both spot rate at that date and exercise rate. At this time, Jim exercises the call option and then immediately sell the pounds at the spot rate. So let's go back to Jim. What's Jim has here? The option to buy. Okay, at 1.40. So one good idea is to exercise and sell at the spot market to make profits. Remember, I am a speculator here. At this time, Jim exercises the call option and then immediately sells the pounds at the spot rate to a bank. Assume one option contract specifies 31,250 units. Calculate the Jim profit or loss. So, very simple. What's the rate? Right now, 141 minus the spot rate, the strike price, 140, 1 cent difference. Okay, 1 cent of USD. Now, don't forget the premium. Per 1 unit, we paid a premium of 0.12, right? 0.012 cents. And you see this is minus. Why minus? Because from my perspective, it's a cost. I paid this money. Now, what's the profit per unit? 0.002. Okay? So, what about the whole transaction? Net profit or loss? We multiply. So, again, there was a loss here. Okay, so, sorry. 0.01 minus 0.012. Okay, so I missed the 0 in the second number. So, it's minus 0.002. So, out of this transaction, per 1 unit, I lost. I didn't gain any money. Why? You might say to yourself, but the price appreciated. It doesn't make sense because remember, you paid premium. The premium doesn't make it a free anymore. It's not free of charge. If you got it without paying the premium, you're right. But when you pay the premium, you already incurred a cost. You must cover this cost to go back to your even point, break even. So for total losses, we multiply, of course, the number of units per loss in 1 unit. How did I know it's a loss? Again, because of the negative sign. So in this scenario, if this was 2 minus 0.012, maybe it would be in a better scenario, profiting from it. So we lost 62 USD based on what's given here. So let's go with the final example. Assume that Linda was the seller of the call option purchased by Jim. So let's continue the story. Linda is the one who purchased is the seller of the call option purchased by Jim. Also assume that Linda would purchase British pounds only if and when the option was exercised. So at which time she must provide the pounds at the exercise. So remember the other party? We found out that it's called Linda. So Linda is the one, the other party of the transaction we discussed in the previous slide. So how about Linda perspective? Let's do it. Let's do the same calculation. Basically, Linda lost money if you look at the price. Ignore now the cost. Ignore the premium, sorry. Focus on the price. Price now is what? Let's go back. Exercise price is 140. Price in the market higher, 141. So Linda, of course, lost. If he exercised, she needs to buy from the market at 141 and sell at 140. Very simple, very clear, you lose money. However, remember guys, Linda received premium. So this premium for Linda is not a cost, it's profit, it's revenue, right? So now we need to minus basically the loss from buying the dollar and selling it to him for a cheaper price to Jim. Now, remember Jim paid me some basically premium to compensate me for all of that. So here, Linda has net profit equal to the exact loss of Jim, which makes sense. Of course, one will lose, one will profit other parts of the contract. So you notice exactly the profits of Linda equal to the losses of Jim. Now, a speculator who had purchased this put option decided to exercise the option shortly before the expiration date, when the spot rate of the pound was 130 only. Speculator pays a premium of 0.04 per unit for the call option. Speculator purchased the pound in the spot market at that time and sell it with a strike price of 140. Assume one option contract specifies again 31,250 units. Calculate the net profit to the purchaser of the put option. First, profit and loss. Same guys, we do the same thing. What's the exercise price? 140 minus what did he buy it for? 130, 10 cents. Premium paid, we deduct that. Net profit or loss? Profit here because it's positive signal. Finally, for total contract, just multiply by number of units. So this guy made profits of 1875. So speculators can both. Jim lost, this one gained. Of course, losses of someone are the gains of others, as we've seen between Linda and Jim. So that's what happened in the market. Finally, assume that the seller of that put option sold the pounds received immediately after the option was exercised. Repeat the same scenario. Calculate the net profit to the seller of the put option. So now the exact case with Linda and Jim. We notice here the losses of 1871 are basically the losses of the other party of 1875. With this, we will end the lecture here. So in today's class, it's really important. We discussed derivatives, currency derivatives, which is very vital for companies, big corporations, MNCs. We discussed the most important derivatives and most common. We discussed forwards, we discussed futures, and finally options. Please, for any question, write down your notes and questions, and inshallah we will discuss it in our Q&A session very soon. Thank you so much for listening and have a very nice day.